What's up? This is Abe Zucca. Stalin and his Closed Systems of Colossus, Part 6. I am Abe Zucca. I'm the one who wrote this book, Stalin and his Closed System. I'm also an artist, painter, writer in downtown Phoenix. You can check out my art at zuccagallery.com. If you are in Phoenix, you can come to my gallery at 1301 Grand Avenue. My prior series that I went live with was called The Unborn Levels of Scientology, and that was an 8-part reading. After this Stalin series, I'm going to start a whole another one called Fractal Islam. That'll probably be another 8-part series. I'm just going to keep reading these books that I've written until I have a conversation on here. I have had 20 new subscribers in the last week, which is good. But maybe if I get up to 500 subscribers, you will be the first disciples, the first members of this temple, the Temple of Zucca. From there, we will do heavy research into subjects that interest me. The subjects that interest me will be anything you find on the internet. Like, you're not going to find advanced Scientology lectures on YouTube. You're not going to find advanced Stalin research on YouTube. This sounds ridiculous. Someone like me talking with 85 subscribers. But everything has to start somewhere. So, let's begin. The constructivist will. The constructivist will, on form as command, material as instrument in the will that organizes the world. On the form as command, material as instrument, in the will that organizes the world. The constructivist does not contemplate, he orders. His studio is not a sanctuary of reflection, but a control room where the laws of form are drafted as schematics for new modes of life. For constructivism, material is not inert substance, but a responsive medium awaiting instruction. Steel, pigment, glass, text, each is an obedient interface through which the world can be reconfigured. The constructivist will is the will of functionality, the refusal to allow anything to remain merely decorative. Every element must justify its presence through contribution to the whole. That is what constructivism is. The constructivist eye is architectural. Even when it draws, it sees the world not as a scenery, but as a scaffolding for future use. Vision is the first form of engineering. The will to construct is born not from optimism, but from ruin. It seeks to rebuild because the world has been stripped to its skeleton, leaving only the possibility of total redesign. The constructivist refuses the interior life as a site of authenticity. Psyche is replaced by function, emotion by structure, identity by role. A person becomes a node in a network of operations. The constructivist object is not a thing, but a procedure. It instructs its user how to relate to the world and therefore function as a moral device, disguised as a technical one. The constructivist labor is the opposite of the romantic artist's solitude. It demands collectivity, orchestration, coordination, a choreography of hands and machines. If the classical artist asks, what is the truth of this object? The constructivist asks, what can this object do? The transformation of ontology into operability is the core act of constructivist revolution. Every constructivist form secretly anticipates its own disappearance into the everyday. Its success lies in being absorbed by life so completely it is no longer recognizable as art. The zero-point consciousness, white humanity, on the metaphysics of the void, the nullification of progress, and the dream of post-historical subject. Zero-point consciousness arises when the world has been burned down to its conceptual foundations. It is not serenity, but aftermath, a mind stripped of ornament, demand, memory. White humanity does not signify innocence, but finality. A humanity freed from striving, because striving has lost all meaning in the wake of cosmic reduction. Zero-point consciousness is born when progress reveals itself as endless drift. To surpass progress is to render it obsolete by arriving where it cannot, the terminus of possibility. The black square is not the beginning of abstraction, it is the end of history. From its blankness emerges a subject who sees the null ground of all form and therefore desires nothing. In the realm of white humanity, prayer and heroism die together, for both rely on belief in adversity. When everything is reduced to pure potential, struggle itself evaporates. The zero state is an ontological suspension. The subject hovers between being and non-being, released from projects but not yet installed in a new metaphysical order. Malevich's white humanity does not strive for salvation. It has already passed beyond salvation's horizon. It is a species of whiteness rather than pilgrim. In the zero-point consciousness, perception is no longer tied to action. Seeing becomes a pure receptivity, an exposure to the unstructured field of existence without the compulsion to shape it. When humanity marks the point where aesthetic experience becomes indistinguishable from metaphysical perception, to behold nothingness is to recognize the substrate from which all worlds arise. Zero consciousness is the latent twin of technological catastrophe. When machines dissolve the old world, they clear the ground for a subject who must learn to inhabit the void. The aesthetic state, on centralization, aesthetic command, cultural totality, and the conversion of life into form. The aesthetic state arises when political power internalizes the avant-garde's desire for total form. What begins as an artistic dream becomes an administrative imperative. In the aesthetic state, culture is not produced but assigned. The artist does not create, he fulfills a function within a larger compositional apparatus. The first 5-year plan was not merely economic, it was aesthetic, a redesign of social reality under a single principle of unity, rhythm, and direction. The aesthetic state does not censor because it fears art, it censors because it must preserve the coherence of its own composition. Dissonance is not forbidden, it is unscored. When the state claims ownership over the subconscious of its population, it becomes indistinguishable from a vast artistic project, a sculptor of habit, gesture, effect, and worldview. The distinction of the avant-garde was not ideological but territorial. Two authorities attempted to govern the same domain, the organization of life, and only one could remain. Socialist realism was the state's attempt to stabilize the flux exposed by the avant-garde. It created narratives where the avant-garde revealed voids, characters where it revealed forces, plots where it revealed structures. Under the aesthetic state, the artwork became a unit of mobilization. A poem is a command, a painting is a directive, a novel is a kind of training manual for the ideal subject. The aesthetic state transforms visibility into moral category. What can be shown becomes what must be affirmed. The permitted image is prescriptive, not descriptive. The leader becomes the supreme artist, not because he paints, but because he controls the frame. He determines what counts as reality and what falls beyond the border of the picture. In its deepest structure, the aesthetic state realizes the avant-garde's dream by reversing it. Where the avant-garde wanted to redesign the world to free creation, the state redesigns the world to freeze it. The aesthetic state ends when its frames collapses, when life again exceeds the image, when experience produces phenomenon that can no longer be subsumed by the official form. That is the end of part 6, Stalin's Closed System of Colossus. Subscribe, like, check out my website, zuccagallery.com. Come into my gallery in downtown Phoenix, 1301 Grand. I will see you guys later.